Hello, on this week's Terrace House Hacks, I'm looking at a terrace house that's got the classic problem of too many small rooms and a toilet blocking a south-facing garden. The front living room is a good thing to have, but when you've got a separate dining room, a small kitchen, you have to pass through the dining room to get to the kitchen. It's never a good layout. And I'm going to try and solve that both by extending it and by doing it on a tight budget and keeping as much of the existing house as I can. So if you like the sound of that, keep watching. Hello, so today's house is a slightly unusual one. It was actually built by Hello, so today's house is a slightly unusual one in that it spans across a external kind of route through to the garden, making the first floor a little wider than the bottom floor. Just have a quick look at the photos, give you a sort of sense of the house. So it's pretty well up together. Sort of front room, some of the original features. Apparently the house was built by the builder who built the whole terrace, and then it was his house, so it's got a little bit of history to it. Sort of strange position for a bed in front of a window, which would suggest that the sort of bedroom's a bit maybe a bit too small. It's got its own bar in the garden. It does have a basement. I think what intrigued me about it was that the top floor is quite large because it's got this area here that spans over a corridor that sits in here. It's got a basement space, which generally those spaces become very expensive to convert into anything particularly useful, but as a utility room or storage can be a useful space. But the main issue, I think, is this space at the back, the dining room, the kitchen. You've got a small kitchen that's only just under 3 metres by 2.7 metres, and then has a toilet at the back blocking the garden. It's a south-facing garden, so it's got potential to open out onto the back. Then upstairs you've got sort of a smallish bedroom here with a big bathroom, which doesn't feel quite right. That's not a massive bedroom with probably a chimney in it. I doubt the chimney is quite that large, but that's a sort of estate agent diagram. And then these bedrooms, that one's quite sort of long and narrow. It's barely wide enough to get a single bed in here. There may not be much one can do about that with the corridor space, but I thought I'd look at a replan of the bedrooms, but primarily how can we make this space work better and not have these three separate rooms that I think most people these days don't really want to live in houses that divide everything up in this way. So I'll start having a look at that and take you on a journey to see where we get to. So looking at this house, we're going to think about getting rid of this toilet at the back because we've got a decent sort of garden at the rear here. So there's going to be a garden wall running down here, and there's a wall over here, and we want to try and get access to that one. Nice thing about this house is that when you come in the front door, you can see through the way these are set up on this side, because quite often with terrace houses they sort of come they're like this, and they're this kind of pattern. And with this one, the front door's here and the window is here, so you can see right through, which is quite nice and useful for taking stuff out into the garden as well. But some of them, the door is there and the route through is that way or that way. So actually finding a house where you've got this configuration I think does help matters. It just the house feeling lighter and making it more usable, getting stuff like a bike or something through to the back garden. So that's a good positive. I think what the first thing I'd want to do is look at basically getting rid of all of these walls. And I don't think really this small kitchen, it's less than 3 meters square. And because the doors are on opposite corners as well, or nearly opposite corners, you kind of got to go round and see where the units are sort of on each side, dog-legged. So even a better solution would just come either down one side or straight through the middle. So a galley kitchen down one side. So even just the simplest thing that one could do would be to take out that chimney, and then put a kitchen down both sides. I mean, the simplest thing would be even to leave the toilet at the back, I suppose, but you could do that and have a door there, but let's get rid of the toilet as well. So then you could put some doors on the back. I mean, you could run let's just draw that a little bit more precisely. So
2.6. I mean, that room's 2.8 meters, so it gives you sort of about 1.6 between the units. So you could come here, block up that window, knock out those doors, and have units down that side. You could block that bit up, and you've already got a bit of wall there probably, so it's almost just taking out the middle bit, and then some doors at the end. You have a sink here, maybe a stove top here, and then some more full height stuff, or the stove over on this side in the middle. I think can look quite nice, with some full height cupboards over there, and then you've got the option for some sort of probably French doors on the back, and at least a room of some sort on the in the dining room here, that you can have a table or a sofa. You can have probably a small sofa here, and then a dining table sort of against the wall that you might pull out, I suppose. There, which highlights the problem with these rooms. I think they're a bit thin to do that, and it might be a bit tight to put sofa and dining table in that room. But if you want that sort of family room feeling, then that's probably the best way to go with that. It does make the most of that bay in the back, keeping the kitchen here, but I think a better layout would be to flip those two, so the kitchen sits in the back part of the room, and dining room, sitting room at the front here. The other issue is we've got rid of no longer have a toilet, downstairs toilet, and because there's a basement, the usual place to put it would be under the stairs here. You could tuck it in there, but because there's stairs to a basement, that's not so easy, particularly if you want to use the basement. I have seen like a lift up hatch. I saw one the other day with a ladder down to the basement, if you're going to use the basement just for sort of almost like an underground loft. You go to a loft down a hatch, or up a hatch, up a ladder, so no reason you couldn't do that. And then you could probably fit that in the front of the toilet or in the hallway here. So it would depend a bit on the state of the basement as to whether one was going to do that, whether you wanted to spend money on refurbishing it or tanking it, making it more of a room. They tend to be quite relatively expensive, I think, to do, particularly if the headroom's not very, you haven't got much of a headroom down there. You're going to have to dig out and potentially underpin next door. So often the foundation will be something like this, and if the ground level is here and your ground floor is there, then probably the slab of the basement is here, and if that's only 1.8 meters or something like that, when I'm 1.88, so 6 foot, it's about 1.85 or something like that, you're going to probably want to dig this down, and to drop that down you then need to insulate it and put a building regs level slab in, which needs minimum 80 mil of insulation. You'll put that on 100 mil of concrete, and you'll have another 80 mil of screed on top, so that's 260. Plus, if you're going to dig it, you're going to want to go to 2.1, which is the height of a door, so let's call that 300. Plus there's hardcore, so 450. You're going to be at 2.5 meters, so you're going to have to come down 0.7, which means that your slab and your excavations ends up below the foundations, which means you need to underpin the foundations below. So, I'm sure my scale's a little out, but I hope you get the idea that becomes quite expensive, and you need party wall agreements with your neighbours and the like. So converting those basements properly is usually quite a complicated and expensive option. The best thing, if you can stand up in there, is if it's you can tank it quite simply with some simple systems and sort of use it informally. informally in that it's not a habitable room. You need to ventilate it as well if you're going to use it. And a lot of people I've been down in those basements have got a dehumidifier running most of the time. So the toilet could go under the stairs, I suppose, to cut to the little chase on that one. But if we wanted to try and flip the kitchen over so that the kitchen sat in the back of the room, then I think we'd still with that. So another option, as I've not looked at this one before, and it's actually quite a difficult layout to do because you've got this sort of bay. You could tuck a little toilet in here, but you've got the sort of bay window bit, and I mean it's difficult to tell on the scale with a agent's plan, but you kind of want to be able to put a door in there. Maybe it could be a pocket door that slides back, and hopefully it fits in that neat little bit there by the nib of the bay that you can just about get and that's super narrow, so 750 to 800 toilet in there, and then that doesn't take up too much room. You could have an L shape kitchen down here that could probably carry on through here. You could have a small table, I suppose, in the window, beginning to feel a bit tight. And then you've got potential for some sort of seating area down by the garden, which is, I find is what a lot of people are sort of looking for in these kind of houses, to try and get their lounge and kitchen, because I think often that's where most of the sort of day is spent, in that space. And then you always end up with this room, which you might use, in the evenings. And in a south-facing garden, this is a north-facing room, so you're not getting a lot of sunlight in there. But there's no way to knock through because the stairs in the way. So some sort of configuration like that could work quite well, I suppose. It's not wide enough at 3 meters to put an island in here, so you're never going to get. So you got 0.6, you get 0.9 for an island. You can barely walk past it, so that's never going to work. And a peninsula won't work either. You might get a little return in there, I suppose, but it just sort of impacts on that bay window. So I think these are quite difficult to make work really well, but so I don't think any of that's really particularly worth the option. And you could consider this one, the first one I drew, was a relatively cost-effective solution, and try and sneak a little toilet in there, because I think having a downstairs loo is quite a good idea. I never really liked the toilet opening straight off the lounge. That's why I'm desperate to try and stick a door in that location, but some people it doesn't seem to bother. If you flip the stair over, which obviously has impact on the basement, but if you didn't have a basement, you could put the toilet under the stair, or you could flip the stair and then you could get a door into here, because on this house the stair goes up this way and round, so the lowest part of the stair is against the wall where I want to put a toilet. So if you took the stair out and flipped it over, you could go in off the hallway into the toilet, which would be better and have less impact on this bay window. Now, to extend the house, if I was to extend this house, let's go back to the first one I drew, it does make these sort of spaces. Now, the downside of extending is you lose that thing I was talking about, that sort of route through, and that sort of both visual and sort of physical route through. But you could infill this whole area. I mean, without planning, you could go 3 meters, and with a larger Homex application, which needs sort of your neighbour not to object to it, you can go 6. So you could do something like that, and you'd need a full planning application to go the full length, which can get difficult. This side you'd want to design this with a sloping roof, so that's the upstairs of the house, and then you're going to do this sort of lean-to roof all the way down the side here to get some light in and keep this line as low as possible so it doesn't impact your neighbour. If you keep a window at the end, you could still get that view through and that route through. And then I think what we could do here is put a sort of a utility toilet, or not a utility, a cloaks kind of area, and a toilet in there. And then maybe have a big kind of glazed door that pivots back to the wall to keep that route through. And then your sort of world opens up into things that you might see on Pinterest or House and Garden magazine, where you can start having a kitchen that probably does that, and you could have an island then that you could probably eat around as well. So you sort of don't need a dining table, and then you've probably got an area at this end that you can have your sort of doors to the garden. You can have a window, nice big window here with a sort of low sill, and then you can have a radiator underneath that window potentially. Keep that nice clear view through, some pictures or shelving on the wall here, and then you've got room for the sofa and the TV, and probably for another chair just here, and then that can be some sort of French doors and a window perhaps. And then the stair can just stay as it is. That extension's around about 1.5 by 5.7. So 1.5 by 5.7 to use the internal sizes on my calculator. 0.5 times 5.7 is 8.55. Now, the build rate goes up quite a bit on these type of extensions because you've got a beam, you've got a 6 meter beam running through here, which you can reduce by, actually you haven't got a 6 meter beam, you can reduce it to probably 4.5 by carrying the wall on, not knocking out the wall and building the wall there. But, so you've got a beam across here that's around 4 meters. You are supporting the side of the house, and there's just a lot of external wall to floor area. They become quite inefficient. So the usual 2694, which is the current 2694 pounds per meter squared, I think goes up to nearer 4 for these kind of extensions. And I did have a builder last year tell me actually even more than that, but some experience at the moment suggests I think that's about right. So that would be 8.55 square meters times 4,000 is 34,200 plus VAT plus kitchen, and I think that's light actually. But we'll stick with it. But for now, it sounds like a lot of money, and it is. But just seeing how these things add up. 41, and plus your kitchen somewhere. Guide price for, and this is for a kitchen that has a back wall of 4.2 meters of units with full heights on the side, and an island that's 2.4 by 1.2, so it can kind of sit in a room like this, and probably the hob or the sink is interchangeable in those two positions. And the guide price for those from Kitchen House is 18k, which includes a dry fit installation and branded appliance Bosch Hotpoint with a quality laminate worktop. That's 18, and then the guide price for the sort of slightly higher spec would be 24k. Includes a basic dry fit, but with Siemens or other similar higher spec appliances, and a 20mm thick quartz worktop. So the difference is the unit's the same, but the spec of those worktops and appliances sort of raises the price. So let's go with the 18. So we're at 59 plus that option. So fair bit of cash, but you can see that the difference in layout does give you, much better options if you want that sort of open plan feeling. In a way, it is the way to go. You are reliant on this bit getting planning or getting the larger home larger home application through, and it solely relies on whether your neighbours say anything. If your neighbours don't say anything, then they wave it through. In the application process, they have to make a decision in 42 days, otherwise you get it. So they always make a decision in 42 days. Surprisingly, they can pull themselves together to do that on time. Upstairs, just quickly, upstairs, I think the house is actually priced based on others in the area as a 3-bed, so you're getting a sort of a free 4th bed. And if it were my house, I would get rid of that 4th bedroom, and I would make a new bedroom across the front of the house that was about 3.5 meters deep across here. Like so. The chimney's going to be not as big as drawn, and then you could have a bathroom in this area. Nice big bathroom. Don't know why I'm drawing it with that pen. Keep that window. Nice big bathroom in there, because you don't need to get round. Like on this layout, you need to get round the stair into that bedroom. If you make that one room, you can use that space for a bathroom. So you get a really big bathroom, 2.5 by just over 2. So there's enough room there for a bath and a big walk-in shower. So you have a big walk-in shower there. You can have a loo here. You can have if you want a bath there, and a basin here. And then this bedroom's quite long and narrow. Not sure there's a lot one could do about this, but what I've forgotten there is the door into the bedroom. Not so clever. So you'd have a door in this location, put the toilet there. So yes, as bathroom or ensuite, that sort of works. You've then got to think about a family bathroom, so you could then do that. Put a window in there, and then you've got a bathroom in this location. Bath there, basin, toilet. Makes that room a bit smaller, but that one is quite a big room, and we're going to take out that chimney below, so that wall's suddenly gone. So that sort of 3rd bedroom remains a similar sort of size, I think. And then move the door down a bit into the corridor, just take the door out of the room. Maybe think about moving that window over so you get a nice bigger window on the end of the house. And then I think you've got now you could keep 4 bedrooms, I'm sure, but if I was buying it, I think that's what I would do. Like so, in the stair, and you've got a space for a wardrobe into that bedroom here. You've got room. You could have the bed over on this side, door into the bathroom there, or the bed on that side. You could do the bed over here. You've got a door in here which will limit it, or the bed could go here. Lots of options, and big wardrobes all the way down that side. Maybe that's the best. And it's important to think at this early stage about how you're going to furnish these rooms, because they're not huge, and things like wardrobes and beds are relatively huge, and so getting them into the plan early on, I think, is an important sort of thing. You've got this funny bit of space behind the bed there that would need to be thought about a bit more carefully, but I think probably just moving the bed along, you'd get actually most of that as cupboard space. And then you've got a sort of a really nice master bedroom, nice big bathroom. You could configure it, I'm sure, to a walk-in closet if one wanted, but I think oftentimes they're a bit of a sort of waste of space, really. You can just have big wardrobes in the room and generate. You could have some storage down here as well. In fact, you could have sort of matching cupboards down both sides with a bed in the middle and then the doors off in the corners. Okay, hopefully that's been interesting, and let me know what you think.